Hi guys, it's me Roselyn and my baby DAENERYS. Okay, so on this video we will talk about what is RFE and what does it look like. I make this video because some of my viewers asking me regarding RFE, and they wanted to know how it look like, what does it look like. So I did a research about that, and also I capture a randomly example of RFEs, and of course I edit it. I make sure that there are no personal information on that image. I will just get the usually what are the most RFE that the USCIS requested to the applicant. Okay, so receiving a request for evidence, which is RFE from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services or USCIS, can be frustrating and even scary. But don't panic. Though I did not experience to receive an RFE during my K1 fiancé visa application and during my adjustment of status application, but I know some of my friends receive RFE, and I asked them what RFE they receive. So I have a little information or familiarity about RFE, but not totally 100%. That's why I did the research. Okay, so an RFE does not mean that your application is going to be denied, or even that it is more likely to be denied than if you hadn't gotten the RFE. An RFE, as the name suggests, is simply a request for more documentation. It means that the USCIS officer reviewing your application needs more information before he or she can make a decision. The request for evidence generally arrives as letter printed, and you should see Form I-797E printed in the top right of the document. So think of an RFE as a second chance to review your application and ensure that you have provided the most compelling evidence that your marriage is real and that you or your spouse are eligible for a marriage-based green card. Okay, and it is very important that you respond to the request for evidence and provide as much of requested evidence as possible by the deadline indicate on the notice, because there is a deadline indicate on the RFE notice. So you should submit all the documents that USCIS needed before the deadline. Okay, make sure of that. USCIS will make a decision based on the information and documents it already has, and that often means your application will be denied. So make sure all the documents they are asking for you should submit that, as in all, and you should submit that before the due date of the RFE. So I will attach a sample of RFE and sample of what documents the USCIS needed to the applicant, so that you will have an idea. And of course, when you have an idea on your application, you make sure that your documents are complete. But take note, not every applicant receives RFE, and not all applicant is the same situation. Okay, so sometimes the other applicant receive these documents because lacking of documents, or sometimes applicant already sent that documents but the USCIS requesting for the same document again. But whatever documents that USCIS requested you have to submit that, whether you already submit that before. Okay, so I will attach a separate video. I will attach a clip for the example of RFE. Okay, so bye for now, baby. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye guys. I hope this video helped you. Okay, so these are the examples of RFE for both K1 fiancé visa and adjustment of status. So all copies must be clear and legible. If you submit a document in any language other than English, it must be submitted with a full English translation. The translator must certify that the translation is complete and accurate, and that he or she is competent to translate. If you need additional information, please visit the USCIS website or call our National Customer Service Center at 1-800-375-5283 or 1-800-767-1833 for the hearing impaired. This toll-free call center can connect you to live assistance in English and Spanish during office hours. So the RFE is Form I-864, Affidavit of Support, was submitted. However, page 3, Part 4 of the petitioner sponsors Form I-864 list someone other than the petitioner sponsor, or page 3, Part 4 is blank. Submit a complete and signed Form I-864, revision date of July 2, 2015. For the petitioner sponsor listed on the Form I-130 or Form I-129F. Even if a joint sponsor will be used, the petitioner sponsor must submit Form I-864. The Form I-134 is no longer acceptable to use for adjustment of status. Also provide copies of the petitioner sponsor's most recent federal income tax returns and all supporting tax documents, W-2, 1099s, Form 2555, and tax schedules. Form I-864 Affidavit of Support was submitted from a joint sponsor. However, the names listed on page 1 and page 3 are not the same. Submit the completed and signed Form I-864 from a joint sponsor. Provide copies of the most recent federal income tax returns, all supporting tax documents, W-2s, 1099s, 2555, and tax schedules, and evidence of their status as a United States citizen, United States national, or lawful permanent resident. So this is for adjustment of status. Then the next, the petitioner sponsor on Form I-864 Affidavit of Support must submit a complete federal income tax return. Submit to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, for the most recent tax year. If you were not required to file a federal income tax return under U.S. tax law, attach a written explanation of why you are not required to file. See the filing requirements in the IRS Form 1040, filing instruction to determine whether you were required to file. The petitioner sponsor lists their current income on Form I-864 as an amount to be considered as sufficient. However, no evidence has been submitted as proof of current income. Submit evidence of the petitioner sponsor current income. Such evidence should include pay stub or other documentation of pay for the previous 6 months, evidence of other income such as tax-exempt interest, qualified dividends, IRA distributions, pensions, annuities, and Social Security benefits. Letter of employment containing the following: date of employment, nature of job, yearly salary earned, number of hours per week worked, prospects for future employment, and advancement. So this is for adjustment of status again. So basically, more on I-864 Affidavit of Support. So you need to submit as in everything Okay, as I mentioned. So, again, another RFE, a birth certificate registered and insured and issued by a civil authority that shows birth in the United States. The birth certificate should contain the child's name, date and place of birth, and parents' name, doctor attendant's name, hospital name, registrar signature, and the date the certificate was filed with the registrar's office. Abstracts of birth and birth documents issued by hospital are not sufficient evidence. An unexpired U.S. passport card issued initially for a full 10-year period to a citizen of the United States. An unexpired U.S. passport card issued initially for a full 5-year period to a citizen of the United States who was under the age of 18 at the time of issuance. A statement executed by a U.S. consular officer certifying the individual to be a U.S. citizen and the bearer of a currently valid U.S. passport. The individual certificate of naturalization or certificate of citizenship, signed by both the individual and the commissioner. Department of State Form FS-240, report of birth abroad of a citizen of the United States or any other report of birth abroad document. So, and then another RFEs. Okay, you must provide the following information. The name you provided on the Form I-765 does not match your name in the other USCIS records. Provide a complete copy of government-issued identity document, ID such as your birth certificate, your passport identity page, your visa issued by a foreign consulate, or your national ID. The copy of your ID must clearly show your biographical information. A previously issued employment authorization document is not acceptable evidence. If your legal name has changed since your identity document was issued, you must also submit a copy of proof of your name change, such as your marriage certificate, your divorce decree, or the court order documenting your name change. Provide evidence that the name change was complete according to the relevant state or foreign law. So next RFE, circumstances of meeting. So I believe this is for K1 fiancé visa. You indicated that you met the beneficiary through a dating website online. However, you did not provide any specific details about the website. Submit information regarding this website and the circumstances under which you and beneficiary met to establish the relationship. International Marriage Broker or IMB. The evidence submitted indicates that you may have met the beneficiary through the services of an international marriage broker or IMB. You stated that you met the beneficiary through a dating website. Although your answer to question 35 on the fiancé petition indicates that you did not meet the beneficiary through the services of an international marriage broker. You did not establish that the website is not an international marriage broker as defined by regulations. An international marriage broker is considered a business that charges fees for providing dating, matrimonial, matchmaking service, or social referrals between United States citizens and foreign nationals. As such, you must submit a copy of the signed written consent from the international marriage broker obtained from the beneficiary. So, authorizing the release of her personal contact information to you or documentation to establish that the website is not an international marriage broker. So, those couples who met on dating site, I think you need to submit a letter or the IMB. I'm not sure about that, but it's you need to search more about that if you met through dating website. Okay, the next, complete questions left incomplete. Petitioner criminal history. You indicated that you have been arrested or convicted. Therefore, please submit certified copies of court records identifying the charges and the final disposition for every conviction together with a police report for each arrest. The final dispositions should be obtained from the court where the hearing took place. You may submit original documents or certified copies, which must include the relevant court seal stamp. If the court dispositions is or not available, you must obtain certified letter from the court stating that there is no record. You may submit original documents establishing the non-existing of court records or certified copies which must include the relevant court seal stamp. In addition to evidence establishing the court documents are not available, submit an authorized statement detailing the events that leads to the arrest, the arresting agency, what charges were filed by the arresting agency, the final disposition, guilty or not guilty, etc., of all the charges with a list of the charges, the location of the court, and any punishment. Note, police clearance will not be accepted in place of the court documents. So, yeah, if I think if the beneficiary or the petitioner, the petitioner has a criminal history, you have to give those documents that stated here. Okay, at least you have an idea, right? Okay, so next, RFE. 2-year meeting requirements. Submit evidence that you and your fiancé have met each other in person at some time during the 2-year period from January 31st, 2016 until January 31st, 2018. The filing date of your petition evidence may include but is not limited to your own statement, which must include the date, place, and circumstances of your meeting. If you submit a personal statement, it must be supported by additional evidence. Copies of travel documents, itineraries, tickets, hotel accommodations, etc. Photos, date and place of the photo must be handwritten on photos. Letter, written to each other after your meetings, referencing the specific date and place of your meetings. Military orders or letters from commanding officers. Photocopies of your passport and your fiancé passport, including biographical data pages and pages showing entry and exit stamps showing that you have both been present in a given location at the same time. Affidavit of friends, neighbors, or other knowledgeable associates. All affidavit must conform to the guidelines cited below. So written statements sworn to or affirmed by two persons other than yourself and the other person you are petitioning for, who were living at the time the events occurred, and who have personal knowledge of the event you are trying to prove. The person making the affidavit may be relatives and need not be citizen of the United States. Each affidavit must contain the following information regarding the personal making the affidavit. I don't know if this has a second page. I think it has. Okay, hold on. Okay. So, affidavit of friends, neighbors, or other knowledgeable associates. Oh, okay, I already read that. So, the person making affidavits may be relatives and need not be citizen of the United States. Each affidavit must contain the following information regarding the person making the affidavit: his or her full name and address, date and place of birth, relationship to you, if any, full information concerning the event, and complete details concerning how he or she acquired knowledge of the event. Any evidence that will help USCIS determine that you have met the beneficiary within the 2 years. If you have not met the beneficiary in person at the same time during 2-year period from January 31st, 2016 until January 31st, 2018, then you must provide evidence to establish that compliance would result in extreme hardship to you or violate strict and long-established customs of the beneficiary, foreign culture, or social practice. Okay, next. Why we are writing you? This is for adjustment of status again. So, you must provide the following information for us to make a final decision on your case. Please include a copy of all pages of this letter with your response. Submit an English translation with the applicant's foreign birth certificate issued by the appropriate civil authority. If the document is in a language other than English, you must submit a copy of the foreign language document and an English translation. If the birth certificate is not available, you must submit acceptable secondary evidence and a letter from the government or other authority. Example of acceptable secondary evidence may include, but it's not limited to, church or school records listing your parents' names and your date of birth, hospital records of your birth, or other official records indicating a country and record of birth. Title 8 Code of Federal Regulations, Section 103.2b. Where a records does not exist, the applicant or petitioner must submit an original written statement on government letterhead establishing this form the relevant government or other authority. The statement must indicate the reason the record does not exist and indicate whether similar records for the time and place are available. It must contain one of the following. Okay. Legible seal, legible stamp, a signature with a title containing the words Secretary Registrar of Birth and Deaths. Information on acceptable birth records for people born outside the United States can be found at blah 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 blah. Okay, when you need to do it, you must send the request information by mail to the address shown below within 8 to 7 days. So there is an expiration of this letter, so you have to send it before 87 days. You must submit all the requested evidence at one time. If you submit only part of the evidence, we will make a decision based on the evidence that you submit. We will not consider any evidence that is submitted after the due date. If you do not respond to this request by the date shown above, we will deny your case. If you submit a document in any language other than English, you must provide a copy of original documents in its foreign language and a full English translation of the documents. The translator must certify that the translation is complete and accurate and that he or she is competent to translate from the foreign language to English. We strongly recommend and keep a copy of all documents that you submit to USCIS in response to this request. So meaning, when you send all the documents they need, you have a copy of that. Okay, you need to make a copy. So that's it. These are the example of RFE. I hope I give you an idea. But I'm praying that you will not receive any RFE. So good luck everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.